Hi traders, this is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for the 16th of November. Now, as we come into the Friday, the start of the Asia session for Friday, there's a number of things you have to sort of look about. And there's, just with the way the data's fallen, the way Brexit's sort of carrying on, there has been, to me, a real neutral stance on the dollar, and it is giving these other currencies a chance to really shine. So to me, I'll show you this in the MyFX trading hub in a second. Euro, this is really, to me, stabilised. There's talk of the Italian PM coming to the table with the EU to discuss their budget. So that's sort of really positive. And with the diffusion and this big move down in Brexit, now everyone was getting all excited yesterday about the UK cabinet agreeing to the deal. It always comes back to Parliament. They're a bunch of savages, as we know, the parliamentarians. So it's dropped a couple hundred points. Really isolated selling. This is really UK based. So it's good to see that the euro hasn't actually budged. To me, euro is now just trading sideways. It's lost that bearish tone. Sterling, I don't think this will last. It'll probably be back at 130 tomorrow. So don't get all excited about a move down to 120. Now, the big pairs at this stage and the big change in sentiment is we had some Aussie employment numbers yesterday. They were pretty strong, right? And we saw the Aussie rally. Now it's just sort of trading sideways. US retail sales pretty much came out as expected. The US fundamentals are pretty much sort of just normal, which is good. I still think overall the US dollar rallies down the track, but long term. But at the moment, I think we'll see the Aussie and the Kiwi, to me, is probably one of the most bullish pairs, has really swung into gear. There's also talk, and I'll show you the news in a second, there's talk that the US are talking about cancelling the last bunch of tariffs or putting them on hold against China, and that will obviously benefit Australia and New Zealand as well. Now, with that sterling sort of debacle, bit of sort of change in sentiment, bit of safe haven play. The dollar got whacked on the dollar yen, but it just bounced straight back. That's how you can tell how fickle these moves are at the moment. Dollar Swiss, also just neutralised and starting to trade sideways with no clear sentiment. To me, the dollar long-term still higher, but for the short term, it's lower. Dollar CAD, well, oil's still at $56 a barrel. I've seen no change of the oil price at the Bowsers, but dollar CAD is a little bit all over the shop. And if oil continues to fall, dollar CAD should start to head to the top side. But at the moment, it's in the middle of no man's land. And you can see, if you look at the dollar index, okay, you see all these big moves across the board here. On a number of different pairs, say in particular sterling, big move down here, bit of whipsaw action in dollar yen. You'd think the dollar would be somewhere else, but it's not. It's exactly sort of pretty much where it was yesterday. And that's what I mean. It's been completely defused by all the various news that's been going around. And obviously Brexit, I mean, this is just a mess that won't stop giving. It's just terrible. It's the main culprit. Right, so PM May is now sort of fighting for her survival. That's all the talk. I'll tell you what, she's done a hell of a job so far to get to where she is and to hold her position. I mean, as I said, this is the time when it comes to the deal where politicians will be really digging their heels in, looking for charity handouts and all sorts of things. So that's where we are. So there's this thing about China. You can expect the Chinese news to increase as the Brexit news decreases. All right, that's where I'm thinking things are going to go. If I just bring you across to the dollar page, just have a look where the yuan is and the dollar index. See how these two are sort of trading in relation to each other. Once again, you've got the, as I said, the dollar index overall. It's sort of hanging around that long-term, it's like a pivot line. That previous resistance line is acting as a bit of a pivot line. I think it's sideways from here for the dollar. And dollar yuan, with that sort of news on maybe a change in the tariffs or putting them on hold, the US tariffs on hold, the yuan has appreciated. Dollar yuan a little bit lower. So that's where we are with the major currencies, guys. When you come back across to look at, and try and piece it together, of course, what we're looking for is the major data, right? So if you just have a scroll through, I'll just scroll through the calendar here. CAD manufacturing sales is the major release that's going to be coming out today. Now, we do also have, I think it's Mario Draghi speaking later on. You've also got, I think Jerome Powell is speaking, but it's more at a charity event, right? Very rare at charity events do you see the central bank quizzed over interest rates. Usually they wait, the journos have some decorum. Now, MyFX Trading Hub. So just coming back to what we're really focusing on now. As I said, random Brexit updates. This is really impacting all pairs. At this stage, coming into Friday's trading, we've got Draghi speaking. You want to keep an eye on that. And really, the last piece of sort of critical data, the CAD manufacturing sales. And with dollar CAD all over the place, it's a little bit tricky. And that rules the end of the week. So once again, if you just come down to look at where the overall sentiment is here for the pairs, as I said, I see a fundamental shift here in the sentiment today. Euro into a sideways trading activity. Sterling, well, it's bearish, but Brexit, it's sort of untradeable. The Aussie bullish, the Kiwi definitely on the up move. And the dollar pairs, to me, right at this point in time, have all gone into a massive sideways moving activity. And that's where the technical aspect of Aussie and Kiwi really starting to shine through, particularly the Kiwi with a strong fundamental upside. And that's where we are, guys. It's dollar pretty much neutral at this stage. We don't have any US numbers coming out. So the only major activity will be potentially around the Euro and the CAD. You'd expect a hell of a lot more news to come out of Brexit. So this is where things are going to be pushed and pulled. I was going to say misled. And also keep an eye on Trump. This stuff about China and holding the tariffs may come into play. And that's pretty much it, guys, for the week. I'll see you in the live trade zone. All the very best. Cheerio.